cluster on the supergalactic equator to the right of center, or around the Fornax cluster in the lower left quadrant. One of the two most prominent filaments is the Pavor-Indus structure in cyan and yellow that can be followed from near the Virgo cluster across the zone of obscuration, rising increasingly above the equator toward the left. The other most prominent structure is the Perseus species filament in yellow and red, rising at a sharp angle to the extreme left. Where do these galaxies lie in 3 dimensions? That's seen as we transfer galaxies from the 2-dimensional projection to a 3-dimensional cube. The galaxies end up at their positions in redshift space. Kinematic stretching in clusters has been Positions of galaxies within 3,000 kilometers per second have been modified in accordance with a model of galaxy streaming around the Virgo cluster. The Perseus species filament is the prominent structure in the foreground of this view. The complexity of what we are seeing is overwhelming. Let's get grounded by a visit to where we live. We are now approaching the Milky Way, represented by the blue dot. The scene is now centered on the Milky Way, with its entourage of small galaxies and adjacent Andromeda galaxy with its own entourage. Other nearby groups are identified. There are good distance measures for most of the galaxies in this scene. These nearby galaxies are positioned in physical space with positions in velocity coordinates of distance times Hubbell constant. We are looking at a cube that extends to 6 megaparsecs. The rotation of this scene allows us to see that most of the galaxies in this local cube lie in a thin plane, the equatorial plane in the supergalactic coordinate system. There is a very empty sector above this plane, the local void. We call the flattened distribution of nearby galaxies the local sheet, and we see that it is a wall bounding the local void. Returning to a polar view of the local sheet, the scene expands to include the Virgo cluster. The local sheet trails off in density beyond our location in the direction away from the Virgo cluster. Our inventory of accurate distances is severely diminished beyond 500 km per second. With the next scene, we draw back to see a polar view of the entire width and length of the V8K catalog, though what is shown is only a line-of-sight slab 2000 km per second thick, centered on the supergalactic equator. The most prominent feature is the crowding of galaxies in a horizontal band just above center, running left to right, from Hydra Centaurus through the Virgo cluster to the Ursa Major cluster and beyond. Other prominent features include the Fornax cluster region, Perseus species, and the southern wall Pavor-Indus and a slice through the Great Wall. We rotate 90 degrees and re-slice to a slab 1000 km per second thick. The slice includes the Virgo and Fornax clusters, the local sheet, and local void near the center. We see intersections of the Great Wall on the right and the southern wall at the left. There are strikingly empty regions like the Hercules void and the Sculptor void. Another 90-degree rotation and a 2000 km per second thick wrist slice gives us an edge-on view of major components of the Centaurus Hydra Virgo supercluster complex. The linear structure seen in the polar view that ran from Centaurus cluster through Virgo to Ursa Major now is seen to consist of several separate strands, layered in supergalactic Z. The main features are the horizontal filament on the supergalactic equator and the pronounced Antlia wall that runs down from Centaurus cluster to Antlia cluster and then turns horizontal in this view. Again, voids are seen. The microscopium void is especially evident. The scenes that have been shown give an inflated impression of the importance of the local region. We are aware of objects nearby that are unnoticed far away. It can be anticipated that the distribution of galaxies, large and small, is roughly the same at all distances in the small patch of the universe that we are considering. Here we compensate for the increasing loss of galaxies as a function of distance. We don't know exactly where the missing galaxies lie, so we associate them with the galaxies that are seen and then smooth and show contours of the smooth density field. Now the local region appears dramatically reduced in importance. The main structures are the Great Wall and the Perseus species filament, with the southern wall. Pavo Indus is significant too. A rotation takes us close to a polar view. We see the importance of the Great Wall and the Hercules cluster region within it. The Perseus species filament is important and we see its connection with the southern wall. The local supercluster is not so important. The next series of images gives focus to the central region of the supercluster complex that we live in. The Centaurus cluster seems to have a special place, where 5 strands are converging. In this polar view, galaxies in major clusters are color red. Otherwise, galaxies in the 5 strands are given distinct colors: green, pink, purple, orange, and blue. The blue strand bifurcates into 2 branches as it crosses the zone of avoidance. The convergence of the 5 filaments onto the Centaurus cluster is seen best with movement of the viewing angle. The scene reminds us of the many arms of an octopus. There is a vertical wall of galaxies in this view that includes the Centaurus, Antlia, and Virgo clusters. See how the local void is bounded by 2 of the strands from Centaurus. The presentation now transitions to representations of the velocity field. Only a fraction of the galaxies in the Redshift catalog have accurately measured distances. In the present analysis, our distance measurements are limited to the volume within 3000 km per second. We begin with a polar view of a 3000 km per second slab in thickness. An arrow is attached to each galaxy with a measured distance. The new reference frame is Hubbell expansion with respect to the cosmic microwave background. Deviant or peculiar motions towards us are shown as blue arrows and deviant motions away are shown in red. We see an obvious dichotomy. Galaxies to the right of the Milky Way tend to have blue arrows, while galaxies to the left tend to have red arrows. There is evidence of a flow that picks up speed from right to left. The scene now evolves to a representation of the deviant motions derived from a Wiener filter model of the velocity field. The vectors of motion are now three-dimensional, constrained by observed line-of-sight motions where they exist. The Wiener filter model provides an expectation peculiar velocity for every galaxy in the redshift sample. Another transition replaces the individual vectors tagged to galaxies with velocity flow lines and adds color to the background to represent the Wiener filter density field associated with the velocity pattern. High density regions are represented in red and voids are blue. We remark on the importance of the region around the Centaurus cluster. Now there is a 90-degree rotation and the slab being considered is 2000 km per second thick, capturing the wall of structure running from Centaurus and Antlia through Virgo and Ursae Major. Again, the map of observed peculiar velocity reveals the right-left dichotomy. Blue arrows towards us on the right, red arrows away on the left. We transition to the representation permitted by the Wiener filter model, with three-dimensional peculiar velocity tags given to all the galaxies in the Redshift catalog. And then transition to the representation of flow lines and the underlying density field. Again, we see the importance of the region around the Centaurus cluster. Densities go to green, the mean density, beyond the domain of the measured density constraints. For completion, we view in from the third orthogonal direction, looking at a slab at the midplane of the data cube. The dominant motion is away from us now, so the red-blue vectors are more scrambled. The processing by the Wiener filter reveals the pattern of flows. The Centaurus region is to the background of the slab that we are viewing. Now we see the streamlines of motion and underlying density field. Particularly note the outflow from voids and the particular prominence of the local void. The present analysis must fail to represent the true extent of the local void, because it extends beyond the domain of distance measurements. The Wiener filter reconstruction returns to mean density where there are no constraints.
Crazy.
We end with a fanciful view of the supergalactic equator.
Well, hello everybody. This is Scott Roberts, and this is the Explorer Alliance live program with the OpenGOTO community. And today with me is Jeff Wise, who often watches our program, and Jerry Hubbell. And so we thought that we would have Jeff on with us. And
wake up, Scott! You got to wake up! Wake up!
yeah,
Pep up a little bit.
I know, it's terrible. It's
The
terrible.
music in that video put me to sleep.
Did it really? I was getting mesmerized though, getting sucked into the great attractor and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe that's what's really happening. Maybe that's where we're all going. Who knows? But the walls and all the structure of the universe and everything is pretty amazing. I'm gonna have to watch that video a few more times, you know. So, and I'm sorry about the audio at the beginning here. I thought if I would just mute my microphone that I could stop some ambient noise or something like that, but apparently not. So, anyhow, we got a few things to go through today. That was probably the longest video that I've shown. Science video that I've shown. Most of them are pretty short, just a few minutes. This one was almost like 20 minutes long. So, but Jeff, why don't we get started with you? Okay, you were showing me images of the planets that you did over the last few days, I guess, or maybe the last week or so.
You're muted, Jeff. You're muted.
Yeah, and you're muted, Jeff.
Ah,
There we go.
there we go.
I'm going to give you the spotlight and let you
Okay. Well, hello there,
do your
team. I was watching last night the planets and all the work that you all have done, and I just thought, I've got to try and do this. I got to get more involved. And so I showed Scott some of the images that I took on the 4th of September. And I'm just going to show you guys a video of the source. This is, if I can do this, can you see that, Jupiter?
Not yet.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I got to share screen.
Yeah.
Share screen. Okay, is that working?
You're going to and I see.
Jupiter? Well, this is what I wanted to show you. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this was shot without guiding and without tracking because there's so few stars I can't get my scopes aligned or, it was pointless. So I just manually guided this. And I think that most of what you guys do is much better than what I do, but I wanted to show you the result, if I can. This is what I got out of it. I didn't even see those moons or the color or any of this stuff.
Very good.
Oh, that's really good. That's really nice.
Now I got to make it small and I'm not quite sure how. Okay. Anyway, that was originally when I first did it. And so I thought I better get these programs up. I better figure this out. And I could not duplicate it. Over and over I tried. Finally, I ended up with this. A little blurrier, but the color is more realistic. I am colorblind, so I'm never going to see it the way everybody else does. But anyway, I just wanted to make the point that you can get fabulous stuff out of these images that just don't appear that way. And what, I had just seen Gary Palmer do a solar demonstration on the Star Party a few nights before, and I just thought, I'm going to do this. So I took that video and I threw it into Registax, and my machine crashed over and over, and I weighed nothing, just nothing. So I just Googled, how do I fix this? And Google came up with PIP. Let me see. Do I have to stop sharing to show you this and then reshare, or can you see that?
We see it.
Okay. So this program PIP came up, which I hadn't really heard of, but I know Gary also trains on this, and I just thought, well, I'll try it. It's free and I'm cheap, so I tried it. Anyways, you can see there's 5,000 frames. This is a 10.5 gigabyte file.
Jeez.
I never worked with anything. I'm filling my hard drive up way too fast, so I'm going to have to learn better habits. But I just fiddled around with this, and basically I selected plan. I went through rounds of trying to figure out what this stuff is, but basically it seemed to automatically select some nice stuff. So you get to the end, it does some kind of test, you process it, and it throws out a file that, if you're lucky and know what I'm looking for, here it is, what AutoStacker can now process. So AutoStacker sucked up that AVI that PIP made. And if you guys remember, Gary did the sun. And so, there were all different options here, but I just guessed, I picked planet and edge, and this thing came up, and, I remember he said 250 frames to stack. This is 5,400 frames. So I just went with it. And, it says analyze, you analyze. This file takes a few minutes to analyze. And then you get this guy over here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
The Jupiter on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you just place this grid of points, bammo, and then you get to stack it. And it's stacked beautifully and popped up. Actually, several times it said it couldn't stack. No images, and I fiddled around and messed around, and eventually seemed like it worked. And up came, you can set it so it pops right up into Registax. And if you remember, Gary said not to touch any of these. So I'm just going to reset these and see if I can show you. It might be too big a file to show you. It takes a little while to process, but it's going to try. Anyways, this is the one that definitely has the most effect. The second one down, and I think he suggested to try 3 or 2, whatever. You can see it changing maybe. You see it's a little odd there, but you just hit do all.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's cool.
see, it's coming out, and now you see these moons. I never saw those moons. I didn't. Anyway, saved the image, and out of that came these images. That's a video. I'm gonna close that. Preview. Okay, that's when I got this guy, and that gave me hope, that I'm on the right track and that I can take my oddball, blurry, wiggly stuff and make something that I like. And you can, since I'm colorblind, like I said, I'll never be able to process color sensibly, but I'm just gonna make it so I like it and go from there. So anyway, Gary's work was tremendous and super helpful, and I'm gonna unshare so that this goes down. At least I stopped share.
Well, there we go.
Gary's work was tremendous and got me going, and that reminded me of a couple months ago, I saw a stream with Christopher Go on WHTC Woodland Hills telescope and camera.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And man, you guys got to watch that. Go see Christopher Go 2 months ago on that stream and watch him go through the same process on Jupiter, but freeze it on the frame where he's using Registack and setting the wavelets, and copy that down. That would be my recommendation, because those settings are tremendous. That's an amazing program. I think they're all free too. Anyway, that was what I wanted to say, and I wanted to thank Astrobeard and Wade and Ron Delvaux and all these guys for coming on and demonstrating, and having the guts. I'm learning a ton. And Dave Ing and Chalks, and man, you guys are great. Thank you very much.
Well, that's awesome. Jeff, thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
That's great. All right. So, Jeff, we'll move on to Jerry at this point, and come back to our show anytime you got something new to show. Okay?
I appreciate that.
Take care, man. All right. So let's put the spotlight on you, Jerry. So you have been very busy today working on our network issue with Windows and the PMC8.
Right.
Sounds like you had a breakthrough.
Well, yeah, Wes and I were working again this morning. I stayed up late last night finishing my imaging of M31. I didn't get to bed till after 3 o'clock, so I didn't get up till actually around 10 o'clock. So, and I immediately started talking to Wes right after that. So we spent a few hours going back and forth some more, and we discovered that the problem that we're having is based on the security system that we have turned on in the network for the PMC8 network when you connect to the SSID. Apparently Windows has changed something that made it's a WPA2-PSK security protocol that we use. That's one of several that are, but this microchip Wi-Fi module is fairly old. So apparently something has changed with that protocol in Windows where it was blocking or screwing with the connection basically. And we found that when we opened up the networking, took the security off the connection, made it an open network, then it worked fine. It has nothing to do with the firewall, really. It has nothing to do with a couple of other things that we were suspecting. I'm trying to remember what it was. One of the other couple things, but the DHCP server. That's what we were wondering about, the DHCP server. It wasn't issuing a correct IP address. So that was just a symptom. That wasn't really the issue. So we basically narrowed it down to the security that was on the Wi-Fi module. So once we turned that off, Windows liked it fine. So the short-term fix, well, there's a couple of fixes. One, I'm still going to be looking at the Windows, searching the Google to see if I can find out what's changed to cause this to happen under Windows 10.
Yeah. Yeah, what did
The other thing is the workaround, or the fix, and is to really make the PMC8 network an open network, not put security on it. There really is no chance that anybody can get into the box and do anything.
they can't hack through it. They
I
can't.
mean, there's nothing to hack. It doesn't run an operating system. There's no,
They're not going to get your tax ID
they're
number.
not going to get, no, they're not going to get anything. I mean, it's just a machine. It's like it's an embedded computer, but it doesn't run an operating system. There's no way to change anything. The worst that could happen is that you could deny access to it. But if you're out in the field in the middle of nowhere, and you've got your laptop connected to it, or you have your ExploreStars tablet connected to it, the way the stack works is that once you've made a connection to it, nobody else can come in and connect to it. It just blocks them.
I see.
So
even if there was another system set up right next to it, there's not going to be any crosstalk. No. Yeah.
And then the only commands it will recognize are the PMC8 commands, right? So it doesn't know anything else. That's all it knows are the PMC8 commands.
Brett Blake says they hack network TVs and cable boxes. Just saying.
Yeah, but those cable boxes run an operating system. They run Linux. Every stinking embedded system out there runs Linux.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not running Linux.
No, we don't run an operating system.
Okay, well, good. That's great.
So we'll be issuing some more guidance on this. We haven't really had too many people complain about this problem. It's been enough to get our attention for sure, but in terms of the overall population out there, this only affects the G11 Exos 2 PMC8. It doesn't affect the iXos 100.
Right.
And I'd be curious to hear. I mean, people are pretty good at chiming in on the forum if they've seen this problem. And like I said, we've only had a few people, maybe 3 or 4 people, say that they have it.
Wade Prunty says, I'd rather manually set an IP than make the network unsecure. Your IP being on the same subnet as another machine opens it up.
It's really not, though. I mean, it's an isolated ad hoc network. But you can do that. That's an alternative thing. You can hard code the IP address on your host computer and connect directly to the PMC8. That's fine if you like to do that.
Yeah, but you're saying there's no real advantage to doing that.
It's just a matter of convenience, what you're willing to put up with and tolerate in terms of configuring to go back and forth when you do the connection, right? That's all it is.
Yeah, and he says it's still a network that your computer is trusting. So
it's not just the computer, it's that you are trusting.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, good. That's great. Is there anything else that's been going on with the group that you?
No, I just looked at it. There's not really any messages over the last couple of days. Anything new? There might be a couple of new pictures that have shown up the last 2 or 3 days. People are sharing. I could scroll through those a little bit and we can show that maybe.
Let's see I always like to see photographs.
All right. Let me.
While you're doing that, I'll talk about the Global Star Party last night. We had a great program. It was nice to have, Michelle Rausch on with. That's exhibiting. She's the featured artist, space artist for Nova Space galleries at this point, this month anyways. And so I think that she put out a link to where you could contact her to get a free postcard, So if you look at the show from yesterday, you'll see that. But some really cool stuff, I thought, overall. I like the tiki, the space tiki thing, you know.
Yeah.
She's into tiki, uh, tiki culture, you know. So,
This
and
is Jeff Snell, by the way.
look at that. That's nice.
That's the heart, I guess the
Yeah,
heart.
that's pretty. Who did this shot?
Jeff Snell.
Jeff Snell. Okay. Congratulations, man.
That look better.
Yeah, it's really nice. And this was shot with IXS
Let
100 mount
let
or
me go see. It was with the ED80 and the XS2 GT
oh,
PMC8.
IXS 2.
Yep. Uh,
Beautiful.
there's another one.
Yeah.
Gurno Schreider. I guess that's how you pronounce his name.
N13. Gurno. Mm-hmm.
Gurno. Uh-huh. Let me see. Oh, I got two.
I like it when they share their images. Very cool. Very
He's
nice.
got a what does he have? Let me see. XS2 PMC8.
Yeah.
This is Wolfgang.
Okay.
Is he on today?
I don't know. Let me
Who's
look.
on the broadcast?
Okay, who's on today? We've got Richard Grace, Nicholas Rochia, um, James the astrophotographer, Michael Whitaker, Eduardo Simone, Wade Prunty, Tim Myers, Mike Wiesner, Bergman Scooter.
Did Wolfgang say he was going on vacation or something maybe last week?
Maybe.
I want to tell Wade, by the way, I got your book, so I'll be shipping it out here. I'll be
Yeah.
getting it soon.
Cool. Tim Myers. I don't see him. I do not see him. Dave Ing, Brett.
From Jeff Snell.
Oh, that's really spectacular. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful work.
Jeff's been doing, looks like he's been submitting quite a bit of images into North America.
Man, very nice. Very nice.
Oh, here's Stade. I don't know who that is.
Uh-huh.
He's got, this is with the IXS 100.
Wow.
That's a pretty wide field.
It is. The Tamron 150 to 600. I would think he has it at 150.
Yeah, that's a good 8 or 10 degrees, isn't it?
That's a pretty big field, yeah.
Well, I can tell you, when I did M51 last night, I got this area right here, and that's like 1 degree right here.
M31, right?
M31, I'm sorry. What did I say, M51?
Yeah. We're not yet.
It's not the Whirlpool, no, it's M31, Andromeda.
Yeah.
Let me see what else we got here. Go to the next page. Oh, there's one from Wade. 100-hour Wade.
Sky. Yeah.
Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
This is 84 times 2 minutes. So it's 168 minutes, which is 2.5 hours.
84 times 120.
Yep. So that's 2 hours and 40 some minutes.
Pretty deep. Yeah. Beautiful.
That's the Trifid right there.
Yeah, that's the Trifid.
That's cool.
Very nice.
Bob Hoskin posted this one. I don't know if he posts very many. That's really nice.
Good. It's
He's
good.
got access too.
Yeah. By the way, Jeff didn't mention the kind of equipment he was using to make his astrophotographs, but I think all those were done with the Celestron Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, this planetary images. But what was cool is that he was learning from the live streams and being inspired by the people in the group, to keep pushing on.
Oh yeah, it's nice to. That's what this is all about. Sharing
Yep.
with everybody to get tips and compare notes and things like that,
That's
and
right.
just everybody learns together.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
That's Mars. Let's see,
I
there's
know.
Jupiter or Saturn.
Looks like a Percival Lowell drawing,
Yep,
with
and there's
lines.
Jupiter. Huh,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. The
That-
way the polar cap looks.
yeah.
Huh. So let's see, it's with the IXS 100
Wow.
and 180 millimeter Maxitov.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty long focal length.
It is. He must have been using. That can't be the focal length of that scope. I don't think. 180 though.
You think it's got a Barlow on it or something?
Yeah, that's like a 7. It's 7-inch. Is that right?
180 is 7 inches.
I think.
178 is 7 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Very nice.
I think that's it. When was this? This was like I don't know what the date was on this. Back at the beginning of September. Here's one more from. Oh, that's Jeff. He's got the Veil Nebula.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Sharp, tiny stars.
Yeah, let me show you. So last night I was on with Tyler showing him the Mark Slade Remote Observatory.
Yeah.
And I was just showing how to start it up, how we had some of the stuff configured, and then we just went to a couple of targets and we settled on M27, which we did one of our first star parties, I think, was M27. And this is the one I took. This is 36 minutes of just monochrome. Our seeing was very good. We had really tight stars. Better than normal, I think, because of the high haze. That wasn't really affecting us much. But let me zoom in here and you'll see some of the detail. Some of these stars are down to 19th magnitude.
It's pretty faint.
And you can see the detail in the structure. It's not a very deep image. It's only 36 minutes, but you see how you can pick out a lot of things. So
Very nice.
that's what we did last night.
Yep. Very cool. Excellent. Well, I had mentioned that Global Star Party was a success last night. As is normal, there were a few stragglers on. That included yourself and Richard Grace and Cesar, and who else was with us?
Cesar and
At the very end.
I think Richard Astro B.
Yeah, Richard Grace. Okay,
I think there was Richard Grace. I guess there was only like 4 or 5 of us for the last half hour, I think.
Yeah, it was cool though. It was cool. So I think we got it again. We accomplished what we set out to do, which was we got a lot of live imaging during the last event. We had live imaging from the UK. We had some from Argentina. We had some from West Virginia, or in Virginia there. We had someone else it seemed like was showing planets as
It's
well.
probably, yeah, it's pretty much the best night we'd had with skies, I think, so far.
Yeah. That's I was starting to think, gosh, is it true that it could actually be cloudy all over the world? So, but it did get much better. We had, we promised some poetry. David gave very beautiful introduction. Kelly's talk was awesome. Levy talked about Venus, the possibility of life in the universe. There was nice interaction with the audience. It was great, and it just makes me want to go back and do it all over again. I wish that I didn't have a biological
They,
that says, "Hey,
yeah,
it's time for you to go to sleep," you know. But it was very,
right.
very cool. Very cool. So, and we've already planned, Global Star Party 10, okay, which is going to be next Tuesday. So I've already put out an announcement poster on that. You can see it on Facebook and social media. And certainly, anybody listening to the program, you guys want to join us, let us know sooner rather than later, and we can get you into the queue and get you into the broadcast. If you just want to join, it's last minute, you're not sure if you can join or not, go in and buy a no charge ticket. You just go to explorescientific.com/events, and we'll get you into the Explorer Alliance green room, as we call it, and that's where you can wait and get broadcast credentials, and then they'll let you in. So, but Jeff says, I don't know how you do it, Scott, but each star party is better than the previous show. Jeff, it's the people that are in it. They're making it happen. I'm just going from the ride. I'm trying to operate the controls so I don't screw up too much. But anyhow, it's a lot of fun. It is. Then the other thing I want to talk about is tomorrow. Well, I guess I should mention today that we had Steve Edberg, who was on the Star Party last night, and Daniel Barth. Daniel is a science and STEM educator here at the University of Arkansas. He and I knew each other when he lived in Southern California, and so he made the move out here, and I was really surprised by that a few years ago. But he's doing a fantastic job, and you can watch his program that we did this live broadcast at, I think, 11 o'clock Central, something like that. So very interesting interaction between Steve and Daniel. And with lots of ideas on how you can use very inexpensive things around the house to show people how the universe works, and so that was pretty awesome. And then tomorrow we're supposed to have Garrick Israelian. Now Garrick is the guy; he's the founder of Starmus, and Starmus is maybe the creme de la creme of all the astronomy festivals in the world, where you have rock stars, astrophysicists, and the public coming together. This next event is going to happen in Armenia, and Explore Scientific is supposed to go there in September of next year, fly to Armenia to set up telescopes for the VIPs of that event and also for the general public. They are expecting tens of thousands of people to appear at this event. So I'm very excited about participating in that. Garrick is an amazing astronomer, physicist himself, and so we're going to get to meet him. He's going to be on with us live tomorrow about noon is the schedule. So, and so I don't know. I don't have anything more to talk about today. Do we have any more to cover, Jared?
No, I'm still tired.
You're still tired.
I've been busy concentrating on this problem, trying to figure it out. for the last 3-4 days, you know, so
Oh yeah,
we finally got to the bottom of it. It's important that we get that way. I mean,
yeah. I'm
we
glad.
don't like stuff hanging over our heads like that. That's what I don't like that.
No, no, and nobody that owns one of our systems wants that, of course. So I certainly don't want it for them. And Jeff Wise, I want to thank you again for participating. And if one of you want to spend a few minutes with us on any of our shows, let me know, and we'll get you on, and you can share your experience with our audience. So until that time, I guess, as Jack Horkheimer always says, keep looking up, and
And share, like, and subscribe.
share, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and tell us what you'd like to see next, I guess. So, and we will see you tomorrow. Got 2 shows, one at 12, one at 4, and we'll talk to you then. Bye bye.